Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, of a very special guest, returning guest. She's actually one of my earliest interviews that I did for YouTube when I first kind of started out, even before I had a podcast, believe it or not. Her name is Carine Hutsebaut. Her last name is spelled Hutsebaut. She's a very accomplished author, commentator, criminal profiler, and knows probably more than anybody about the Dutroux case that happened in Belgium. She is in Belgium, so she has literally been doing this not for years, but we were talking a lot in the pre-show for decades, like 3 decades. And so much information hasn't really hit a lot of the research community here in the States. So we're going to talk about things that are new, things that we know. But I'm titling this, I mean, so much is happening in the States. I'm titling this episode Epstein, Dutroux, and the Big Lie. And I think it's incredible because it's an incredible overlap between the Dutroux affair with a huge cover up, too. I mean, we're talking about we're seeing a cover up roll in real time now in the United States. Today's July 16th. And the Dutroux was a huge cover up, too. There was the white marches, these huge marches involving hundreds of thousands of people. There were murders. Some people close to Dutroux died. I remember Guy Weinstein, but there were other, like, there's even a documentary about the cover up, not just the Dutroux case, but like 20 people who died around Dutroux over the time. So it was almost like something after the JFK or something like hit list. But incredible text. This text just came out today. We scheduled this last week, but so much has happened in such a short time, including the wars. But this whole thing about Trump deflecting and blaming other people, this is just total lies and trash. He's trying to convince people that this is something from the radical left coming up with these things. This is baloney. He knows all the stuff back from when he was president before. And he's saying that it's a scam, and he's calling the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and his past supporters. So he's rejecting his supporters. A lot of people put him into office and supported him, thinking that he would kind of clean up what they call the swamp. It's worse than the swamp. We're into like Mystery Babylon, Mordor, like a spiritual evil of the highest level. And he's, I don't want their support anymore. He's going to reject all those people. This is a catastrophe for him. I called it slow rolling a couple days ago. It's not slow rolling. It's a fast rolling catastrophe. And he's the led. I mean, all these guys have made statements and other statements in the past, whether it's Bongino, Patel, Bondi, and himself about the Epstein files or just the Epstein information, really in general. The list is kind of a figment of the imagination. It's already been made up. You can see it with Ryan Dawson. He's put together a list from publicly available legal documents of all the people who've used Epstein that we know. There's probably even more. Giuffre made lists. She said names, Mitchell and Dershowitz and Epstein himself, people she was sent out to. Dubin. She's unfortunately passed away under, to me, suspicious circumstances. Her dad said there's something going on. I've read her bio, by the way. Like, I know so much about Epstein because I studied this back in when he died in 2019. I hope. But, it's been 6 years. But I did all the research on Maxwell Epstein. But it's really incredible that this is still here. They're not solving it. This is not going to go away. The question is, do you want to be ruled by a bunch of pedophile gangsters or not? That's really it, because it hasn't changed. And there's so much, the same kind of thing happened in Belgium, and Carine knows the story firsthand. So Carine, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here and to be able to inform as much people as possible. Just because I've been in all these sectors, the Justice Department in Belgium, in France, in Portugal, in England, and I've seen it from within, but also the social services who play their role in all this trafficking. Babies stolen by the nuns, the implication of the Catholic Church, and which is not the same as the Christian Church. We have to make a division there. So, well, I'm speaking from within all these things. I've seen it all. I work with I don't like to call them pedophiles, either pedocriminals. A pedophile is Greek for loving children. You are a pedophile, William, and I am one. We love children. We will never harm them. So we have to use the right words. And offenders that I have in treatment, whether they are in prison or in my office, they are absolute forbidden to use that word, but also they are not allowed to say, yeah, I know it happened. No, it didn't happen. You choose it, okay? You made a choice. These are not things that happen. Earthquakes happen, floods happen, volcano eruptions happen. There's nothing we can do. But what you did it. You fantasized about it for years, and you got information from child porn on the internet or elsewhere, and then you started to fantasize and planning, and you decided to rape a child. So we're gonna call it the way it is.
Pedocriminal, that's your word.
Pedocriminal, yeah.
It's a better word. For people who don't know your background, the Dutroux happened in the 90s. You were right there. Maybe you can talk about your background, Belgium, the situation, and kind of lead up to your work and your books and things like that leading up to the present.
Well, it's all a long story in the meantime, but when the two children in the Dutroux case, Julie and Melissa, disappeared, I was in the United States. I was having also practice placement at the FBI at that moment. When I started to get faxes in my hotel room, I don't know even how they knew where I was. But at the time it were faxes. Internet was not so common at the time in 95. And I just had done for the Justice Department the profile in another case of two children who disappeared, a brother and a sister, Kim and Ken in Antwerp. And it was horrific. And working with the police was not only because I'm a woman, but I am also not a police officer. I'm not part of their, family, the corpse, as they say. And I don't want to be. I absolutely want to be completely neutral in all these things. It has to be the truth and not sins and lies. So, and I was in the United States then, because I had to do my exams for the American University in Washington, D.C. When I got these faxes coming, you need to help us. You need to help us. This children has disappeared and the police is doing nothing. 2 years, two little girls of 8 years of age. Full daylight, Wednesday, very, very hot because we had this heat also in Washington in 95. And there was no trace of them. And I was thinking, oh no, not again, not again. I don't want to work for these evil institutions anymore. But then when I came home in July, I got a phone call from a private detective. The parents had hired him because the police wasn't doing anything at all. They ran away and they will come back. That's what they say. 8 years old. There was not one reason for these two little girls to just disappear and run away. How would they when you're 8? And I said to the detective, well, yeah, I don't feel like doing this. I had children of that age myself. At the same time, I was thinking, oh my God, imagine my son who is 8 years also, he disappears and nobody's doing anything. I would be desperate too, to find whatever help possible to find my child, because they disappeared the 24th of June. And I think it was the second week of July, 95, when I got this phone call. And I said, it's also difficult because on a financial level, I can't ask these people to pay, can I? But my car is not running on water. And even I still have invoices at the Justice Departments that I had to do for judges and find out and make profiles and do my investigation. And since 94, 95, 97, none of their invoices they pay. None. And it's for all the experts in the area. So nobody wants to work for the Justice Department, and that for 30 years. So I said, well, this is a problem because, I don't want subventions from the state. I don't want donations. They all tried this, but then you're hooked. So you're stuck. You have to pay everything yourself, which is not normal. But anyway, he said, well, listen, I come in and collect you because it's 150 kilometers up and 150 kilometers back. It's 300 kilometers. It must be like 200 miles. So, well, I said, okay, then, okay. At that time, I was still married, and, it brought terrible frictions into the marriage because my ex-husband said, well, we are paying police to do that. Why would you do that? And then I say, because nobody else is. So I was stuck. And I said to the detective, okay, Paul, come and collect me. And then I go in another frame, When we were almost there, I asked him, bring me to the place where these little girls have been seen the last time. And we had to we were looking for 20 minutes, driving around, we couldn't find it. So this gives me already the information about the criminal. He knows this place. He knows, because he can't afford. You have to project yourself into the mind of the criminal, and you have no time to lose. If you are in an area where you don't know how to get out when things go wrong, you're stuck, and they will take you. They will notify you. So we have been driving around for 20 minutes, and then we finally found it. The first thing I saw was that the corn was cut off, which is important. It all looks like little details, but it aren't, because this means that the only place where he could see these two little girls walking was from the highway, because with the corn on the right side of this little street, nobody could see these little girls with the height of the corn, and they were only 8 years old, so they were smaller. The offender could not have come from the other side. So I knew he had a car, which is logic. You're not with your bike on the highway, are you? And then he turned off the highway and came back and took the children. And there was a witness. But then the police said, oh, but she has Alzheimer. She doesn't know. Yes, she saw these children easily go into the car. And that's the excuse these skilled criminals use. Your mom and dad had a car accident and we have to bring you to the hospital, for instance. Or there is a woman involved that was with the criminal, because it gives trust, like many other cases. And so the kids easily got into the car and he drove away. So he knew where he was. Now, then we went to the house of the parents, and the two parents were there, and an aunt of one of the children. And the police was there waiting for me. It was very, very aggressive. I saw people go in and out of the room of the little girl, of one of the parents there that lived there. And I said, have you preserved the DNA of the child? They didn't know exactly what I was talking about. I said, have you done your mapping? Where the children, in combination with the other streets, have been abducted? No, they didn't. I said, you have to look for somebody who has been in prison for abduction, sequestration, torture, and there was another one. I still have these profiles, and for another thing. And I said, he is not released for a long time. And the reaction was, Miss Hutsebaut, we are not in the United States here, okay? And then I said, I just got up and I said, I'm gone. And the father was in a frantic panic. He threw his keys on the table and he threw the 2 police officers out. I started I can be very discreet, you know. I work behind the curtains because I can't do it in the open, because then I will be killed immediately by the system. So I promised them to go back. I think it was the first week of August, with my foundings and my beginning of the profile. And when I came there, before, I remember it was a Monday that I promised them to come back. It was a Friday, and I got a telephone call from the mother, also Carine. She said, "You have to come." I said, "Why?" I planned to come Monday. And she said, "No, well, you really have to come." I said, "Did something happen? Is there something new?" She said, no. And, you know, she was very hesitant. I felt an enormous pressure on her. I said, "What is going on?" "Well, the police is waiting for you here." "Oh," I said, "when again?" I said, "Give them on the phone." And I got the order to come. I said, "You have no orders to give me. Okay, I'm not working for you. I'm working for the parents and the children." And then, well, I asked it friendly, "Can you please come?" So I thought something serious is happening. That was the complete beginning, more than a year before Dutroux has been arrested. So I thought, yeah, well, it must be serious. And well, I get into my car and drove 150 kilometers there, and they were still waiting. And they had such odd questions. And I gave them the profile I made, a copy of the profile I made. I said, "This is somebody between 35 and 40 years of age." He was 38. He is in a divorce. He has children. He lives in the triangle Namur, Charleroi, Liège, a very small part of the country. He knows the area here. And you have to look in your court convictions, because he has been in prison for abduction, sequestrating, and torture. And well, they were outraged. They said, "You have to come to the bureau of the police." And then again, the parents were so upset, and I understood. So I said, "Well, you know what? Just go, and I'll come later, okay? I have to calm the parents." We are then at that moment 6 weeks from the abduction of the children. And so I calmed the parents, and I said to the mother, "Can somebody drive me to this police office? Because I don't know where it is. You can check this with the parents, you know." And she drove in front of me, and I went into this police building. And there was Le Sage, who later on was lying in the commission of Dutroux, because there has been an open, because the country was on the verge of a war, you know. And he was completely opposite as the man I saw, very sure of himself in this parliamentary commission. And he said, "Oh, well, there 3 of the police officers have been called because of a false alarm going on in a business somewhere. So that can be tracked. But you need to wait before they come." But I was thinking of the stress I had at home. I had 3 kids. And I said, "Well, no, I'm not going to stay." He said, "You are not allowed to go." I said, "Am I arrested for something or what?" No. And he started to calmly talk to me where I studied, what I did, and all this. And then it took about half an hour before these 3 police officers came back. So I was surrounded with 4 police officers asking questions after asking questions. And it went on, and I didn't understand. I was the enemy. Then at a certain point, I saw that the Sage, who was the boss of this office, he retracted, and he was sitting on, the heating. These are old buildings, these were these heavy heatings. And I heard him whispering to another police officer, "This must be a mistake. There's something not right here." And then I got very angry. I said, "Well, listen, I'm not leaving this bureau here before you tell me what is going on." And they said, "Well, we are very sorry. We got a call from very, very high up to stop you in this investigation." I said, "Who? Give me a name, okay? Who called and who gave the order to stop me?" And that was Claude Lelièvre. Claude Lelièvre, who was a high-profiled figure. Look him up. He was the commissaire of commissaris. It is in French, so I have to translate at the same time in my head all the time.
Spell his last name. It's Claude Lelièvre. How do you spell it?
Lelièvre. L-I, dus Lima, Echo, Lima, India, Echo, Victor, Romeo, Echo.
Claude Lelièvre. There he is.
Lelièvre, yeah. He was a commissaire for protection of children.
Is that him right there?
Wait, I'm going to put my glasses on.
Claude
No,
Lelièvre.
but it's the same name.
Okay. It's a different one. Okay.
It's a different one, but it's exactly the same name. Yeah. And he had been placed there, I think 25 years before we had one in Flanders. Belgium has two parts, the French-speaking part and the Dutch-speaking part. I'm in the Dutch-speaking. My language, my native language is Dutch, But in the other part, that's where all this... yeah, that's him, Claude Lelièvre. And he was the one who gave the order, la lutte contre la pédophilie. La lutte contre la pédophilie reste un combat permanent. The war against pedophiles is a combat that is permanent. He was one of them.
Wow.
He was one of them because when he attacked me in this parliamentary commission, I got a phone call from a detective that I know, but I never worked with him. And he said, don't react. He said that I was the cause of how do you say it? Wait. I blow up the investigation to find Julie and Melissa. And I saw it. It was directly in the rooms of every person in Belgium because we could follow it live. And I just came in and I heard my name. And I said, what are they talking about me? Normally, I had to come in front of this commission to testify and tell the story how it happened and what I had done in this investigation. But he blocked it. And I was in a television, a very high-profile television with Mark Verwilligen, who was the president of the parliamentary commission. And he said to me, I don't know what happened, Carine. He said, we were not on screen at that moment. We were waiting to be called in. And he said, the only thing I can imagine is that he took your place and the only thing he came to do was discredit you. But the parents were in the commission and they saw that this is not true. And one day I made a complaint against him and I couldn't go to the police nor to the gerechtelijke police, justiciary police department. You had two kinds of, it's a bit like CIA and FBI in Belgium.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't go to either of them because the double murder of these two children, Kim and Ken, was with the other part of this. So there were wars going on between the police, and it's all about control. They want nobody in it. It is them so that they can change the narrative if it isn't going their way, or if somebody of themselves is involved. And all these things you learn, because I'm talking about now, this case is 30 years ago.
Right, you're talking about Kim and Ken Hireman or Heerman, right?
Herman, yes,
Hireman, yeah.
yes. Kim has been found murdered in the dock of the port of Antwerp, but Ken has never been found. The little boy was 8 and his sister was 11. Verdwijning Kim en Ken, disappearance of Kim and Ken. So this verdwijning, this is in Dutch.
But do they think that this is related to Dutroux, these two disappearances?
I'm not sure for Ken, but I don't think so. I don't think this is related. No. So working with this police department was awful. While I had to go to France, to Perpignan, for a trial of a gruesome child killer who also abducted 2 children of 8 and killed them in a way I cannot describe. I had the autopsy. I've never seen something like this. And that was in my...
Sorry to interrupt, but there was like a series of these child abductions. Wasn't there another guy who went around with his wife and literally stalked and abducted
what's
kids?
His name again? Yeah, he was from France and he abducted children in Belgium, but in France too. What was his name?
He bought a castle and buried them. What was his name?
Yeah, Fourniret. Okay, Foxtrot, Oscar, Universe, Romeo, November,
IER,
India.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
Where was I? So there was Romeo, November, India.
Yeah, Michael, Fourniret.
Yeah. Fourniret.
It's the ogre of the Ardennes, was he known?
Yeah, yeah. So he trespassed the border from France to Belgium, but I must be younger then. Yeah, it's him, but he was very young there. It is a picture of.
So he's young here, but he was older. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, he was older when he was arrested.
And he worked there.
Here you see that. You see him up. Yeah, that's him, Fourniret, and he worked with his complice. His wife.
Yeah, that's what's
crazy. Yeah, she's still in prison.
So is Dutroux, though. That's his wife.
That's his wife. Yeah, yeah.
Incredibly evil. Monique Olivier.
Yes.
Olivier, yeah. Anyway, so it's just something going on in society. It's endemic, these things.
Yeah, but people don't know this.
Yeah.
And the way that some police, if not all, but some police talk about the victims, it is so disgusting. Because I was then on this trial in France, Christian van Geloven, and he was my universe because he showed me what was going on in the catacombs of his brain, why he did it, how it came, and all that. And I wrote a book about the child hunters.
Let's see if I can find it.
This is child hunters. The first one. Yeah, and there I go all the way, and I have a television documentary next week.
Oh, nice.
And that's his. Yeah, that's about.
Is your documentary? Is it in Belgium or is it in the States? Is it in English?
It's in English. It's Child Hunter because in Dutch it is kinderjagers. So you can't do anything with my language, do you? But the thing is, they asked me if I had this profile from Chris van Geloven, Christian van Geloven. He was from the Netherlands and has been, in fact, abducted by an aunt who could not have children and brought into the high society of Paris, where, in fact, they stripped him of everything he was. He came from a very, very, very abusive family. The father was an alcoholic. He raped the daughter, Ellie, who I had to split. It was so bad that I had to split the 2 stories from him as the murderer and his sister, who was, since she was 3, raped every day by all the friends of the father. And and she had several abortions on the kitchen table, but she is completely destroyed. But I had to split these 2 stories because I thought, we have to go 30 years back for this story in this book. And I thought nobody's going to believe that this is possible in one family. So I have to split up the two stories. But in fact, Ellie and Christian are brother and sister. Yeah. So
Wow.
he was my university, and all these child killers that I examined in 15 years then, during 15 years, they were my university. You have no idea how they function. And the shock is they function in such an infantile way, just like we see now with those who are governing us. They are emotionally stuck between 4 and 7 years of age. And these children can be very, very evil and gruesome with animals, but also with each other, because people, there's so much to say about this to make it
This
clear.
guy Fournier, he had the weirdest worldview. He had viewed other people in almost like they weren't even human anymore. It was so strange, and he had it on a loop inside of his brain. Like, I saw a documentary about the guy, and his wife was weird too. Like, she was super huge, like 6'2" or something. But like his view of a human being, and they would stalk these kids. Like, they would sit outside their house and just incredibly dark.
Yeah.
Like,
he took Elisabeth Brichet in 1989 in Namur, while he was from France. Fournier.
Yeah.
And he used his wife and told Elisabeth, who was 12, he said that his wife was ill and he was looking for a doctor, and and that's how he lured her in the car, asking, "Can you please bring us to a doctor?" She got in and she was lost.
Yeah, never seen. Like, they're literally kept in a dungeon and then dispensed with like unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, and then they found her years later. Marie-Noël died, I think, 2 or 3 months ago. She left Belgium and she went to live in Canada. I think in a tribe even. She died from cancer. But she was, in the beginning, she was in my association. We built up this association with her. But you have to have, a 5 centimeter large skin to get all the attacks in all the time, trying to discredit you, trying to kill you, trying to bribe you, trying to lure you into a compromising situation. I've proposing 500,000 euros in 2003 to help me, promising me my own program on television. You have no idea where I've gone to.
Oh, I have an idea. I've been in this business for a while, so I've seen a lot.
What, in bribing?
I haven't been bribed, but I've been tried to be set up, definitely compromising, and I mean, they I know for a fact they've
but
the government has taken my secret files and dumped them onto the public. There's absolutely no question about that.
Yeah.
So, like, your FBI was the FBI, like things that I pay taxes for to keep me safe from, like, and I'm still clean. I mean, I don't like to brag about it, but
no, me too.
I'm lily white. That's why I can do this job, really, because I can't really be blackmailed. There's nothing to blackmail.
Yeah, because otherwise you would be very stressed, isn't it? But the same goes for me. You are not allowed to have one mistake,
right?
Because they're gonna really gonna take
Carine,
care of it.
They went to my high school records. I'm 56.
Yeah.
I'm 56.
Mind you, I'm 67.
Like that's desperation for me. Like, come on, man.
Well, desperation, but they have the evil to kill you.
Yeah,
and your children.
If they had the chance, they would kill me. There's no question about it.
Yeah, but somehow, I don't know how to tell you this, but we are protected somewhere. I don't know how. I should have been dead a long time ago. They tried to kill me in an operation room.
Going on in the universe that's protected me. There's no God.
Because I got death threats at a certain. I had to have surgery on the thyroid, and I didn't tell anybody. It was in a small hospital nearby, and at a week before the surgery, I got a telephone call from somebody talking in French to me. Now, luckily, I speak 5 languages, but that said, You know, Miss Hutsebaut, there are people dying in surgeries like this. Click,
Right. They
done.
do that here. They do that. People, you go into surgery, they don't come back out alive. I
Yeah,
want to play this clip because it kind of goes into the systemic view of these child trafficking, because Dutroux is definitely connected. I don't know about this other guy, Fournier.
Fournier.
Yeah, Fournier. But this is an interesting clip. Let me see if I can get it to play. Because she's just saying everybody knew, they just knew that they were trafficking people. Let's see this share screen. Yeah, this is it. Okay. You should be able to get the audio here.
It took a lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on. Everyone's turned a blind eye in the place where I was supposed to be protected, in my country where I was supposed to be protected. The justice system failed us. It took a lot.
That's just an example. Rest in peace, Virginia Giuffre.
You were brave.
Virginia Roberts. Yeah, she was brave. She had more guts than most men, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, but men also are brave, William. I told you this before. If we didn't have those podcasts that you all bring, nobody would have known yet still. So, and you must be brave because some of you have already been destroyed and murdered. Some of you don't exist anymore. So it is a very, very dangerous world. And I think it was also in your podcast years ago, but also in others, that I pleaded to people, stop being cowards.
Yeah, I remember that. It's been a while.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
We are talking about children. In the Netherlands, just to say that it's not only America, we have to stop thinking. I hear everybody, oh, the Netherlands is bad, it's evil. Oh, Belgium, it's bad. Oh, America is so bad. No, it's all over the place. Stop saying this. See, look across your borders. You have no idea how many children are captured in Mexico, in Guatemala, all for trafficking organs, sex industry, but also for universities to do tests on them. Pharmafia, I call it my pharmafia. They test all their injections on these children that disappear to see what the reactions are, and these children die also. Nobody talks about them.
Carine, I don't know if you've heard this, but they had a guy who's the head of the HHS now, Robert Kennedy Jr., said that somebody in the Department of Homeland Security, or HHS, was involved in massive child trafficking, hundreds of thousands of kids in the U.S., and I don't think they have tracked them all. So this is like barely even talked about. It's a humongous scandal.
It's tremendous.
It's just tremendous scandal.
And let's talk about social services. All this
on it. That's the whole thing. Is like Giuffre's statement here is very important.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows. Like the default is these people know what's going on. They're just
they work with the system
and the church. It's called Catholic Charities here in the States. Intimately involved in child trafficking.
Absolutely.
Bringing them in, and they are a so-called Christian organization.
But it's not Christian, it's Catholic, and that's a huge difference.
Well, that's a whole other discussion. I don't mind having that discussion, but maybe not within here. The Catholic Church has some interesting doctrines. Leave it at that. They're the Spotlight. That movie says it all. There's a lot.
But do you know that in
child
the
abuse
UK,
is endemic? Sorry.
When we speak of another country as United States, in the UK, how much these people that take children away from their families are paid for per child?
Oh, huge sum.
£6,000 per child. I have somebody that I'm defending now with everything possible, writing letters to the SS. I call this SSers, to protect and avoid them to take those children. And when they come in the house of the mother, because they have the right to come in night and day to control, and then when they come, because I can't just go every time to the UK from here, I have to take a boat, and then you had this COVID stuff, and I don't have the COVID. This injection, I don't want them. It's evil. So then John Wetcher went there, the ex-Scotland Yard policeman.
I've interviewed.
He
Wetcher,
went there to be there to show she's not alone. You're not gonna take the kids. Until now, we succeeded in this. But I know they get £6,000 per child. There are 5 children in this family. 5. Make your sum. It's £30,000 if they can take the children. Now the father has been in foster since he was 3 years old. He's completely ruined. Have been in prison several times because 90% of the prison population have been raped. You have no idea how bad it is. So I work with victims, I worked with killers, I worked with child sex offenders, and I see what all these institutions are doing. Now, the sad thing is that most of these institutions were good when they started, but they all have been hijacked. And I'm saying this for years. They look at Greenpeace. At the beginning, they were chasing away hunters on whales on a rubber boat in these wild oceans. Remember? When they went into to save a whale. And all of a sudden they had a yacht. Then you know they're bought. And look where the Green Deals are and where Greenpeace is. Even the founder of Greenpeace says, this was not what I founded.
Signed up for, right?
So
that's the best way to destroy something. It's not to take it on and take all their money in lawsuits. It's to infiltrate it and change it. It's much more clever. Yeah.
But the evil observes what are good projects and what can we use to mislead the people and to get our laws voted.
Right.
So it's all a lie. And again, the lie is the biggest sin.
It's going along with the lie. Can you go along with this lie? And it's an interesting thing, this concept or the idea of the big lie we were talking about pre-show and you just mentioned. Like all of these other people have been turned. So Bondi, Kash Patel, and Bongino, these are the heads of our law enforcement. They have to go through with the big lie with a straight face. And even the White House spokesperson, the girl who's ostensibly a Christian, she has a crucifix on, and all of a sudden she doesn't have it on, and says we're moving forward from Epstein. And a lot of these, I don't know what it's like in you, but here on the right, they're usually the more moral, the moral majority, and they're Christians and they're publicly very virtuous. And now they're being absolutely turned into something evil, where they have to abandon any moral precepts to go along with this. And once they get turned, here's the thing that's even darker, Carine, is once they get turned, today's July, that just means they're going to be telling lies for 3.5 years about the wars or whatever. So once they cede their own personal integrity, it's going to be even worse because they're going to be forced to do even bigger lies from here on out, or even as big a lie. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm in doubt for 35 years. Is this stupidity or is this wanted? Now I know they choose the stupid people to put on the right place. And then is it for the money or is it because they are blackmailed? You don't know.
Both? Can it be both?
It can be both, indeed. Yeah. Indeed. Now, why is it that child sex abuse will never be accepted by the masses? They did serious investigations in tribes in New Guinea, tribes that have no contact.
New Guinea, right? New Guinea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, New Guinea. But that's also in the Amazon, where tribes are living completely separated from the world, in fact. And they found out that it is genetically in human that they will never accept wrongdoing to children. If something hurts a child in these tribes, immediately he comes in front of the wise, the elderly, and he has expanded from the tribe. It can be 6 months, a year, 2 years, it doesn't matter. But you can't survive in the wilderness alone. So, yeah. But if you do survive, you're allowed in the tribe, back into the tribe, but you're controlled all day long, that you don't touch a child anymore. And but they will not stigmatize you. But we don't have this system. We don't. But it shows that genetically, it is in the human being to never accept this kind of crimes against children. And that's why people will never forget now the big lie of Trump or whatever, all those saying that, oh, well, Epstein, it's a long time ago. Right. Well, the victims are still there.
They're still
and if
there.
You're talking in frequencies and in quantum physics, this is a tremendous hurt on the evolution of humanity. So we can't allow this, and we feel it. No, we can't accept this, and that's why this is the only thing they can still blackmail people with, and that's child sex abuse.
Right?
Why?
They can't do it. They used to do it with gay people or homosexuals.
Yeah. Or politicians.
Cheating on your wife used to be a blackmailable offense.
Yeah,
adultery.
And even having sex parties with adults, and you're a politician, you have to go. Finished. But all these morals are gone. There's only left, and that's child sex abuse. And people genetically will never accept this. Never. And that's why we had 500,000 people in the streets. They say 300,000 is not true. It's 500,000.
Wow. They called it the white marches. What is it in French?
In French, La Marche Blanche.
La Marche Blanche.
La Marche.
People were angry. They were so angry. That's a huge proportion of the population of Belgium. That's like 1 out of 20 people or something.
Something like that, yeah. But it was also in Switzerland, in France, everywhere. There were, and also in Austria, in many countries.
Over Dutroux?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, in fact, it was not so much the anger against Dutroux. It was the anger against the system.
Right, yeah.
That they do not their jobs. And I think then, where are the people now? There should be millions in the street now. For the wars that we don't want, for the scandals of Epstein, Dutroux. Because Dutroux, you think it is only in the United States. Well, I can tell you, forget it. The judge, very good judge, Connerot. Yeah. And we have Attorney General of it. Wait a minute. Bourlet. B-O-U.
Jean-Marc Connerot. That's his
Jean-Marc Connerot. They throw him out because he started a green telephone line for people who had been abused in rings, sex rings. And there was tremendous reaction. There's a first, and that called was Regina Louf, X1 in the file. And I still am in very good contact with her. She taught me something I didn't know, because they are the universities, these professors teaching about pedosexual and all. They don't know nothing. They never talked to one, let alone with a victim. But Regina told me how she was trained by her grandmother to suck the penis of an adult man when she was 2 years old. And I know she's not lying, because she said, I all have this on tape, She said that she had to learn it by sucking the bottleneck of a lemonade bottle named, oh God, now it's gone. I had it. Now it come back.
Do you know if those X Files are still available online? The X.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Those are very important, at least for like my researching that.
They are still. Yeah.
I guess it's on the Internet Archive. There it is.
Normally, you should be able to find it.
I think this
Colibri. No, the name is there. The little bottle and the the brand of the limonade was Colibri. And I remember, because my family is from Bruges, that when we went to Bruges, my grandmother, who had very little money, she bought Colibri bottles for us. We were used to drink water from the tap when we were home. We were 6 children at home. So, but Colibri is a factory that is, has disappeared 40 years ago. How could she know, except when it was true, that it were these little bottles with a thick tummy, where she had to practice sucking penises of men by the grandmother when she was 2 years old.
Is this endemic? Because there's more stories about Belgium post-war leading up to today that involved some very dark stuff, and it actually kind of overlaps with international fashion, believe it or not, and some of these other kind of fashion people. Like, there's a dark underbelly everywhere, really, but Belgium seems to... is there a reason why that's there, and why the head of the EU is in Belgium, one of the smallest
Well, you already
countries?
have these Nazis. Netanyahu, he's not a Jew at all. He is from Poland. He's from Poland. And all these people change their names. I don't know how it is, but I think it's the same in the United States. They put these children in homes. They put them in colleges. For 3 months, they are not allowed. The split of the families, that's very important.
Yes.
Where they were not allowed to see their parents but once a month or every 2 months. And well, this already was the Catholic Church who took care of that. Now it's Soros, but that's the same. No, Rockefeller. Everything that has to do with education is Rockefeller effect. And then these children were raped all the time. So, and I had a Jesuit who was a street worker first, but all of a sudden he was the head of the Center Against Racism and that kind of. And he came regularly at my house, and at a moment I was complaining about the rapes of children, and he looked at me but very nicely, and he said, Carine, he said, give me a child under the age of 10 and it will always be mine.
Oh, it's super creepy.
And it's true.
Is it trauma-based mind control as well? That these kids are being super traumatized?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they are being.
Yeah. And that's why the prisons are full of people, and more than 90% have been raped. But what is anger? Let's describe anger. They are angry. They feel powerless. There has been injustice done to them, and nobody makes sure that justice comes. Then you have anger, and anger is transformed grief. Grief is a very, very annoying feeling. Your loved one dies in a car accident and you grieve. It's a passive feeling. You can't do anything with it, then undergo. Except if you're able to transform this grief into rage. And somebody's going to pay. And because they are afraid of their rapists, as the Jesuit told me, he was been very known in Belgium because the name of the center had his name. The Man Centrum, Johan de Man Centrum. And then immediately I think of what he said, that give a child under the age of 10 years, it will always be mine. Yeah, because why do they not turn on their aggressors? That was my question. And I found out, because I work with victims too, and also SRA victims, it is because when they are confronted to their rapist, they regress to the age of they had when they were raped.
Abused.
They're scared, but the anger is still there. The frustration is there. And so they're going to take children to get the godlike feeling. Okay, I'm in power now. What are you going to do? You can't do anything. You're 4 years old.
Sex and power. So it's like a superpower.
Absolutely.
Which makes sense that the King of Belgium and Prince Charles are involved in this stuff. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Prince Charles is involved with Savile and Dutroux. He's on this list right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Or formerly
So
Prince
they
Charles,
break
he's King Charles
children.
III. Yeah.
Yeah, they break their children as young as possible. But you can restore most of them. That's the sad thing. But they, my academy, they try to block it all the time. I had 10 years ago one on the radio who was talking about that this was a fraud academy and whatever. 2 years ago he has been arrested for gruesome child porn from babies, from whatever. He's in prison. And I wanted to write him a letter. Now, how does that feel, man? I've never been in prison. Yeah, well, to visit my clients, but not as a criminal. And he is for all to see. So his statue of the good presenter on the radio is completely collapsed. He can't come out of his house. Now he's outside with a tag, but he can't come outside anymore. He attacked my academy where I teach people all over the world to work with child sex offenders and to stop them. Because I was fed up treating victims, knowing that the child sex offender makes an average between 120 and 150 victims during their sexual active life, being from 14 to 90. So while I am restoring a victim, and I prefer restoring because they use the word healing, but these children are not sick. They are harmed, they are destroyed, but they are. You don't say when your car isn't running anymore that your car is sick. It has to be repaired. Well, we have to restore children and avoid them to become child sex offenders. But therefore, we need justice. Justice. And then I hear others, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name her because then I'll get a lot of trouble again. Who is preaching to forgive the offenders and your torturers and love them, embrace them. And I told her, who the fuck do you think you are? God? It's not up to you to say who has to forgive and who doesn't. So, and then I have 18 new SRA victims in a frantic panic calling me saying they are on the verge of committing suicides because they don't succeed in forgiving their torture that ruined their lives. And all these people I take for free because I know they have no chance to make their life. At the same time, the person in question is asking $400 for a Zoom meeting for an hour. Well, come on. So you see, there is interruption all the time and false prophets. Well, it's even in the Bible, the false prophets. You can't forgive. You can forgive. And I have these confrontations in my office with child sex offenders. They have to sign a contract of non-confidentiality. This doesn't mean that I'm going to bring their files into the media or go everywhere. But if the police, the Justice Department, the lawyer of the victims wants access to the work we are doing, they have the right to come and look into the work because it's very active. And then I had one victim of rape who asked me if she could be present while I was having therapy with her rapist. And I said, yeah, of course. And you can look into the file, the task he has to do. You can ask questions. Okay, so they're sitting in front of me. She's on the right, he's on the left. And she's sitting there silently for 2 hours, watching, listening. Then she started to ask some questions. And at a certain point, she went completely silent. And then she put her hand on his leg and she said, you know what, Mike, or Jeff, or whatever, I forgive you. I've never seen such an explosive reaction in a man like this. He started to cry, and really, it was bad, like this. He couldn't talk. And we were watching him for 5 minutes, which is long. And I was thinking, what's going on? And after 5 minutes, I asked him, "Jeff, why are you crying?" And he said, I never thought that she would be able to forgive me ever. So the victim can forgive, but in fact, only when the criminal is aware of the damage he has done to the victim. And he can ask for forgiveness, but it's the decision of the victim to forgive or not, and not the other way around. You give a free pass to offenders when you forgive them just like that. Why would they stop? Most told me when they came out of prison, well, I paid my bill, and they just go on. Why would they stop? Nobody's stopping them. In this 35 years, I have not one relapse. While without specialized treatment, there is a relapse of 97% after leaving prison in an average of 4 days.
Wow.
What are we doing then? That's cleaning with the tap completely open. I'm not going to do that. So first they have to stop offending children and raping children. And later on in therapy, we restore the child within the offender, in the criminal. And then I have the books Back on Track for children between 6 and 12. Well, they have to start with that one because on an emotional level, they are stuck in this age. So this child has to grow up. So it comes to the level of the same rational level, and then there is balance.
Carine, do you think that some of these royal families, these bloodline families, that this child sex abuse and kind of Satanism is endemic, kind of like Eyes Wide Shut, that it just runs in families for generations, that it's real?
Yeah, that's a real problem.
That's real. Yeah.
Well, I will not specify, but one of the royals called me for help. Luckily, I copy-pasted a lot of the conversations we had. It was in Messenger, and it was after I had an interview with John Wetcher about the witch hunt on offenders, which is dangerous because they have a before thinking crime, during thinking crime, and there is the after crime. Before and during their crime and the rape, they do not think. Everything goes like in their fantasies. And the after crime thinking has to be installed. And what you do when you're doing these witch hunts, when they start to think after their rape, oh my God, I risk going to prison, they will kill the child because that's the first witness. So it's a very fine line to find balance in all this. But you have to know this. And as I said, the best universities for me, besides the ones that I did, were the victims and the criminals themselves, the killers. I had to have my exam in California for the Academy of Behavior Profiling, and it was about psychopathy. And I had to come to California to defend my thesis. And in my thesis, I had written that people are using the wrong words. I hear from every psychiatric and every human being that psychopaths have no empathy. That's the biggest lie. They sure do. I can guarantee you they do. They know exactly how it feels to be humiliated, to be destroyed, to be raped, the pain, being afraid of being killed. They know that. And so that's what they use on victims they make later. What they do lack is compassion, because compassion is taught to children between 4 and 7 years. And it isn't there because nobody was there to have compassion with them, to help them. So they don't know how to feel compassion. And in one of my books, I start with trying to understand a boy of 18 who killed his grandparents, he slashed their throat, and his aunt, a triple murder. And I was trying to understand this. And all of a sudden, I remembered when I was 4 years old in class, I was barely a toddler, we had these little papers with a picture on, and we had a needle, a stump needle, and we had to make little holes so we could take out the picture. I don't know if you had to do this in toddler class, but we had. And I was so concentrated with my needle. And my best friend was sitting next to me, but he was left-handed. So in fact, he annoyed me all the time with his arm. So several times I pushed him back saying, "Oh, stop it." But he couldn't do otherwise because he was with his arm. He was also working with his needle to get out this picture. And at a certain point, I became so angry, I just pushed the needle into his arm, and we had these little arms like that. And I even remember that I hit something and it was the bone. Of course, I've been probably seriously punished by this, and right out so. What did shock me the day after, when I came on the playground in school, I ran to my friend, my best friend, and he ran away from me. I couldn't understand. I was unable at that point, at 4, to make the connection between the pain I insulted on him and the fact that this child was just afraid of me, was terrified of me for my aggressive action. Well, you have to compare this to child sex abusers and child killers. There is the before crime thinking, during, and after. And it's dangerous to do this. This witch hunt is dangerous because they're going to kill their first witness. And that is not what we want, do we? So there's a lot of work to do, but we can do that. And everybody is allowed to become a therapist in my academy. They have to be 21 because only at 21 the brain is fully formed. And they have to write their motivation. Some of the people that wrote me said that their motivation was to deprogram them and reprogram them. And I said, no, we are not God. We are not programming anything. So sometimes people are refused. And I prefer people who did not go to university at this point, because they are so brainwashed already that, well, I prefer them, with the right intentions, and then we can restore the world.
One person at a time, that's what it works.
I have 300. Yeah, I have 300 students from all over the world, even Peru.
Wow.
So
nice.
we can change it, but my God, in the meantime, the evil is going on, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. It absolutely is, right in front of our face. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, you were talking about the royals, and I sent you some points that are important. And one of these points is the American air hostess, Sherry de Borgraven. De Borgraven is one of the most powerful nobility in Belgium.
Right. It's Borghgrave, right?
Yeah, there's an H in it, yes. Yeah. But Sherry was in a plane where Jacques de Borgraven met her. And they fell in love, and it was really, she felt like a princess. And because the Americans have no real connections with royal families and kings and queens and princesses and all that, she was so honored. But she was Jewish. Her background was Jewish. And it has been a huge fight for Jacques de Borgraven to marry her. And don't underestimate the evilness of women. I have to admit, I am a woman. I couldn't believe it in the beginning, but women are much more evil than men. Men, these are the brute forces. But women are more sophisticated in torturing. I can't treat them. I would slap them in the face. So, but I do have a lot of victims having been abused by women, and I can guarantee you there is no end to their fantasy. And in this family, the Borgraven, the grandmother, who was the matriarch of the offspring, just like the Rothschilds, where the grandmother said, there will be a war when my grandson decides it, and there will be no war when my grandson decides there will not be a war. It's also a woman. You know, look at Ceausescu from Romania. His wife was worse than he was. So don't estimate the role of women in this kind of crimes.
Right. They're there. They're often there. That's the whole thing. They
Now,
always focus on Dutroux. They don't focus on him as a member. 4 people were tried. His wife, Nihul, and some other guy. Like, they just like to focus on this guy. It's like tunnel vision. Oh, he's a serial killer. I think pedocriminal is a much better term because he's involved in trafficking. He's got mystery money, just like Epstein. Like, this guy had 3 houses. Epstein was worth half.
Oh, but you can't compare it. You know, these houses were really ruins. But anyway, where did he get the money? Yeah. That's true. But if you look at the houses of Epstein, we're talking about other stuff, aren't we? That's where the most highest in society are implicated. But the Borgraven, they married, and from the moment they married, it was horror. She had to go to a specialist in France to have her breast enlarged, and this was, I'm talking about the 80s, somewhere in the 80s. And this surgeon, in fact, refused to do it. He said to her, "It's a very bad idea. He has done this to his ex-wife too, and she will suffer for the rest of her days." And so she refused it. And because she refused this, she had been tied to a tree in the garden, has been raped, has been tortured by her husband. And she wanted to get a way out of this. And one day, it's a huge castle they have near Brussels. There was a party at night, a night party. And well, yeah, everything was prepared in every room. I think there are 300 rooms there, with flowers, every room, and etc. And the party went well with music and people dancing. And all of a sudden, she says, they start to project, it was with projectors at the time, porn movies on the walls. So the sphere changed. Who were there? The highest in politics, in the justice departments, the businessmen. Well, you know, the nose of the salmon of society.
Right.
You know, the highest levels. And then it was so strange. She said, it's in her book. She wrote a book about it. At the point, it's like they do this, and everybody retreats into the rooms. And
so it's like Eyes Wide Shut. It's like Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, exactly that. It's exactly that. And then she said, no, the most weird thing was in the morning, everybody was well dressed again and as if nothing ever happened. And she had to flee Belgium, but he took her passport, he took everything from her. And finally, she was able to flee Belgium with the help of the state security from the United States. Now, I tell you, you should go and talk to her. She is now in the United States, and I think she has an art gallery in New York.
Send me her email.
But she kept the title of Baroness, which is really horror for these families. But I think he would have killed her. And she
probably,
saved
or
herself.
had somebody else do it. You know, they don't like to muddy their hands with those things.
Yeah, but he had sex with his own sister, and he forced Sherry de Borgraven to have sex with his own 2 little boys, which she refused. As if all this was natural. And that's what he said all the time to her. Being an outsider, he said, you don't understand our high-level rules. And then I was looking for the book. I couldn't find it nowhere because
It's
it was on
Dangerous
the index.
Liaisons. Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, it was immediately in 94 on the index list in Belgium, so not allowed to publish here. But then I was in California, and we did our research, and I found 2 left in the United States, and 1 was in California, in Los Angeles. And we go and get it. So I have the book, and it's all in there, except I think she was very carefully with it. She's not talking about the sex with children at night, but I'm sure she knows about this. Absolutely. And that's our nobility, you know. And then the Americans are looking at Europe. Oh, they have their kings and their princesses. You know, they're all fucked up, literally.
Right.
And then you're amazed with so many children being raped. We are at least at 40-50% of children being raped or sexual abuse. There are many forms of abuse. What do you want that people all line up for the job and are looking for daddy? And they consider the state as their daddy that never had,
right.
they had ever had, because they split up the families. And that started in the north of America, splitting up families, because then these children have nowhere to go anymore.
Right. It's just extraordinary what's happened.
Yeah, but we see the result now. And what are we going to do?
So full social breakdown. Like Europe is in trouble. The whole continent's in real trouble. I mean, the U.S. is in trouble too.
Yeah, the dollar will collapse.
There's like migration issues. People don't
Same
feel like
here.
defending anything.
We all come from Africa.
Yeah.
The Brussels is 70% foreigners. 70%, and it's the capital of Europe. People don't recognize their countries anymore. Not in the Netherlands.
They're not going to take a tour. They're not going to come and tour your country or any countries or the U.S. if all the urban centers look like trash. People don't get it. That's why it's a doom loop all the way down the toilet. All over the world.
But then we're going to smash Putin. If you go, there was an American.
It's
he
a total
made
distraction.
The documentary. He's from the military, and he lives since 3 years in Russia. And he made a documentary. At 3 a.m, he went home from a pub, and everything was clean, and nobody in the street, no
bums, no drug dealers,
nothing. And so he said that he was never going back to the Western world.
Poland's like that too. Poland's pretty well run too, clean, not tolerant. They don't tolerate bums. They deify criminals in the United States. It's all upside down. So
yeah, because when I was in Washington, I was so amazed how clean everything was. I'm talking about 30 years ago. I'm afraid to go back to the United States now. I've been several times in the United States, but now the last 20 years, I'm afraid to go there. Not for what can happen, but for the shock of, my God, how bad is it here? Yeah, it's the same as in Europe.
It's a declining civilization. I'm worse. I'm actually worse than a racist. I'm actually a culturalist and civilizationalist. Like, are the things that put a society together going to increase our civilizational benefits? And these are just not civilizations. These are like fourth world, Mad Max type civilizations. It's horrible. Yes. It's a disaster. Why are you paying taxes? In California, we're like super high tax. We get nothing in return. You don't get anything. Like, why am I paying taxes? Why do we have a government? You're all incompetent.
And what are they doing with the money?
Nothing.
I heard that $600 million is lost in the United States. They don't know where it is.
It's in the million. No, Carine, it's in the trillions. It's in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, well, we know
it's not going
CIA
to public services.
11.
Well, there's no real functioning law enforcement. When you have guys like Patel or Bondi or Bongino running the show, you're not going to put these people in jail. Probably because they're either blackmailed or Trump's blackmailed. I mean, it goes back to this Epstein. Some of these people, commentators here in the States, say that Epstein is a dead letter, and to get by it, it's not. It's everything.
No, this
Epstein
is a deep
everything.
wound.
Yes.
and on a frequency level and on a quantum level, this is
Everything.
destroying everything in the human
Society,
being. Yeah.
people who are ending up on the streets are the part of this abuse structure that's never resolved.
No.
So all these people who are not prosecuting Epstein and his perpetrators are the children of hell. They are part of the evil system.
Absolutely.
So these people are tainting themselves. Bongino, Patel, Bondi, Trump, they are never going to get away from this. They don't understand the long-term relevance.
But look,
they are part of, they cannot protect little children. They
Yeah.
cannot protect 8-year-old children. There's, like you said, it's ingrained in genetics. Even some guy in the middle of Amazon who barely has like 100-word vocabulary can protect little 8-year-olds better than Bongino, Patel, and Bondi and Trump.
And they are paid with our taxes. Can you imagine? What are we doing?
It's terrible.
In fact,
it's
we are
humiliating,
sponsoring them to do not their work.
Yes.
This is enraging. And Belgium is one of the most taxed countries in the world.
California
Can you imagine?
is terrible.
We have nothing in return for this. Nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
the EU, I'm sorry. I wish the EU was actually a great idea. I mean, it was good, but giving this authority to bureaucrats is like one of the dumbest things you could ever do in human existence.
Yeah, but we can't turn it around, can we?
Not through voting. Like I don't know if we can vote our way out of it.
No, I don't vote since Belgium is one of the only countries where you're obliged to go vote, or you get a fine. For 30 years, I haven't gone because I did not go vote anymore. Well, give me a fine, then I don't care, but I'm not gonna vote because they are not elected; they are selected. And I know this since 30 years. So why would I go and lose a whole Sunday standing in the heat or in the weather, waiting, lining up for what? I don't do it.
Right.
I keep that right to myself, and I'm not going to vote. But at the same time, they are vilifying Russia, and 10,000s of families already moved from Canada, from Germany. They moved to Russia. And
they're the only probably real Christian country left in the world. Like the U.S. used to be a Christian country, not in its actions anymore. And it happened in one generation, actually. So we've fallen.
Yeah, it's only the last 20, 25 years. That's fast, isn't it?
Yeah, we let in a bunch of pieces of trash. And
it's a gangrene.
Yeah, no, it's a rot. It's a social rot. Like I said, I'm not a racist. I'm actually a culturalist and civilizationalist, which is worse. Like, what's happening? Can we protect children? Are you eating good food? Is the air clean? Can people thrive? Do they have access to education, healthcare? No, it's gone. So the whole system in America has to be restarted from the bottom or something, because the current people are parasites. They're murderous parasites allowing kids to be raped. And this is huge trafficking. That is the Epstein situation here. The Epstein cartel. It had, just like Virginia Giuffre said, so many people were involved. It was an industry.
Absolutely. And everything is industrialized. Everything that has to do with emotion is industrialized. Yeah, and it's all about money. But you don't take it with you when you die. And I really hope that hell exists. I really hope that. And that they burn
these people
in hell
deserve to burn in hell for eternity. I don't care.
Yeah.
They should. Carine, we are almost at the 90-minute mark. It's great to have you back. I need to have you back more often. Where can people find your material? Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything I missed before we wrap it up?
Well, no, but as I said in many podcasts, thanks to you, there are two important changes: that most of the people in the world are learning English, because otherwise they can't follow your podcasts, and they are becoming aware thanks to the work you do. You're brave people, and people should sponsor you more so that you can continue existing. And please, never get bribed. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been bribed or blackmailed. I can assure you 100%.
The truth and nothing but the truth.
I'm actually so independent. I should say an independent podcast, because I think it's funny. People call me up and have these business deals. They go, William, get your team together and sit around. We need to get your team together so we can do this. I'm like, you're looking at your team. It's just me. So the only way
and the whole team is in your head, isn't it?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, they want to lure me into the Hells Angels that are going to take
I have no
revenge.
group. It's just me. So, Anyway,
my whole head is a group, so I'm
Yeah.
having discussions enough in my head.
well, yeah, I feel the same way at times.
Yeah. Thank you
Um,
very much, and I hope the people take lessons out of the work you do and the people who talk in your work, because we have no personal interest at all, nor William, nor I, nor these people that are in your podcast. And that's the most important. My father always said, do well and don't look back. And that's right. Never accept appreciations, never accept money for it. Just do well and don't look back. And that's it. And be an example. My mother was always a wise woman too. And she said, woorden wekken, voorbeelden strekken. Words awaken, examples makes followers. Be an example. The words are for the politicians. It's just words and nothing else. But then you have to take the second step. When you spread the word, people see it and think, I'm going to do the same. Fuck, it's enough. I'm not going to accept the rape of children. I have to do something.
That's
And
where
that's
we're
it.
at. There's no middle ground, Carine.
No.
You're either for or against. There's no weasel words. I'm going to defer to this guy's opinion. That's what they're doing in the States now. So you have these kind of influencers, culture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're like, well, Dan Bongino said it and the DOJ, therefore I'm going to go along with it. No. You make
Stop
a decision.
lying now.
Yeah, stop lying to
not
yourself.
lie, not
Yeah.
one lie, okay?
It's not going to rest well with those people.
No,
it's not,
because
these words will be almost like you might as well have written them into granite, because people will go, you set yourself up as this moral arbiter and you're looking at the other way for industrial rape of kids, and these people are blackmailed and you're getting poor services because it's part of this bad mystery Babylon satanic blackmail system. You're allowing it to happen. All these people, Charlie Kirk comes to mind. He's this moralist turning point. He is a fraud. He can burn in hell with all the rest of them. They need to make a decision now. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground.
You know, there are consequences at everything. There are consequences when you speak the truth, and there are consequences when you lie. I prefer the consequences of me speaking the truth.
Amen.
And I'll deal with that.
It's the greatest thing.
You can't deal with the consequences of the lies. Because once a liar, always a liar. Okay?
Once these people are turned into liars, they're just going to continue to lie.
Because they get away with it.
Yeah. No, if they get away with this, they're just going to lie about everything. The wars, the murders, the things happening in Gaza. It's not independent. These things all are intertwined.
And maybe this is not what Christ wanted, is it?
No way. They talk about the Old Testament. Apply New Testament principles, Christ principles to Gaza. You cannot support that as a Christian, in my opinion. I think that you're out of your mind if you think that that's okay.
And that has nothing to do with politics. It's just human.
This is very dark. It's something beyond a war. It's like a humiliation and a constant. It's almost like a vampiric energy suck where you watch people get tortured every day.
Yeah.
Like it's that bad. Like that's
it's unbearable, is it?
It's like a red room, you hear on the internet of like you go in and watch random people getting tortured over the internet. The Gaza is just one big red room, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to be a human.
Shame. Yeah, it's shameful. It's disgusting. And there's no excuse. And these people plotting for Netanyahu, you guys are horrible. You're monsters. When God judges you, it'll be just. That's what you should say. So if God judges you in the most harsh way, don't whine, don't cry, don't bitch.
That are the consequences of your choices.
Yeah, you made this
and that's
choice.
it. Yeah. Deal with it.
There's so many solutions to Gaza. They could have at least given them an opportunity to leave or get on boats or pay for go somewhere else, find some land, do something. But this is like disgusting.
But the horror has been done, isn't it?
It's been done.
All these children, all these people. This is a wound that will never heal. Never, ever.
It's not going to go away, just like Epstein. But I love the fact that you brought up the big lie before the show, because it's the great theme, I think, that goes over.
It's the basic of everything.
Yeah. So it's
and lying is the worst, is the biggest sin. I'm sorry.
It's really true. It goes down to
starts there.
basics. It goes back to basics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carine Hutsebaut, another great talk. It's been too long. People check it out. I will put her website on there, victimandcriminalprofiling.academy. Check out her work. Reach out to her. If you have any other questions, you could contact her through her website. And I'll also put a link to the Dutroux X Files, which are on archive.org, so people can check through. It was the upper crust of Belgium. It's all the elite or the aristocrats who are involved in all that stuff. So it is kind of like Eyes Wide Shut. Kubrick was trying to tell you something. So Carine Hutsebaut, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much, and
right.
have a nice day. For
You as
you,
well.
it's day. For me, it's night now.
Well, have a nice evening. Stay there.
Okay.
Stay there.
Bye-bye.